it's Haley, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about all of the books that I want to reread. So I know it may seem stupid that I have books that I want to read again when I have so many on my TBR and I'm trying to get it down, but sometimes I just want to read a book that I know I'm going to love and I just want to fall in love with a book all over again, so I like rereading books. I have reread The Fault in Our Stars by John Green 15 times now, I think, something like that. To be honest, I've lost count, but it's just fun to reread. I don't know, I like it. I know some people are opposed to it, but yeah, so I have a few books that I haven't read in a while that I would like to reread, possibly this year, maybe in like the coming years, but this year would be ideal. I'm not sure when I'll get to them, but these are basically just books that I loved once and I want to love them again. So the first book is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. I read this book when I was in like, I think grade 4 or grade 6, something like that, and I absolutely loved this book. I'm pretty sure this was like the first novel that I read for school that I actually really enjoyed, and I wasn't afraid to say so. So I really want to just reread this and enjoy this story again because I just loved it so much as a kid, and I'm interested to see how my opinion kind of has evolved as I've gotten older with the story. The next book that I want to reread is actually one that I read 2 years ago. One of my friends, Rebecca, recommended it to me and I absolutely loved it. This is one of my favorite books ever, and it is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I just love this story. I thought it was so fun and fast-paced and just unlike any other dystopian I've read before. First off, it's a dystopian standalone, which is completely different from anything else, but just the whole concept and the whole story is just so unique, and I just absolutely loved this book, so I really want to read it again. Next is a series that I have not read since grade 6, so that was 8 years ago? Wow, I'm old. So yeah, I haven't read these books for 8 years, but I absolutely loved them, and that is The Ugliest series by Scott Westerfeld. These books, this was probably the first series I ever completed and I ever really loved. I just thought it was so fun and interesting, and it's probably, other than The Giver, it's probably the first dystopian that I read. So it'd be the first dystopian that I read like willingly without having to for school. And I just really enjoyed it. These books really kind of got me on like a reading spurt for a while, because I used to I would read a book and then I couldn't read anything for like months and months, and then I would read a book and like it would be that whole cycle. Now I just read constantly. But I think I read like 6 books in a row after reading these, so these really got me into reading for a little bit there. But yeah, I don't remember anything from these books, and I just really want to dive back into this world because I just absolutely loved it. Another book that I haven't read in a really long time, I'm not sure how long, but I know it's been a while, that I want to reread is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. I don't have it on me right now because I'm lending it out to a friend, but I just adore this story and I could read this book 1,000 times, just like The Fault in Our Stars. I just think it's such a beautiful book and I really just want to read it again because it's just an incredible experience reading it. So these next books are part of a trilogy, and these are ones that I'm pretty sure I will be definitely reading this year before November, and that is the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. I loved these books. I breezed through the whole entire trilogy in like a weekend. It took me less than a day to read one of these books. I don't know which one. It was probably Catching Fire because that one was my favorite, but I just absolutely flew through these books, and I feel like since I read them so quickly, I didn't really get to absorb the story so much. I mean, I did still absolutely love it. Like, this is one of my favorite series. It's definitely my favorite dystopian because it's so creepy, but so cool. But I really want to read them again and be able to kind of like absorb the whole story and just kind of immerse myself in the creepy world that Suzanne Collins creates. So I'm hoping to read these before the last Mockingjay movie comes out, Mockingjay Part 2. So yeah. The next books I'm hoping to reread are also a trilogy, and that is the Divergent trilogy by Veronica Roth. This is another series that I absolutely flew through. I barely even remember what happens in Allegiant, except for like the big thing, obviously. But I just hardly remember these books, and I'm hoping to reread Divergent and then reread Insurgent before the movie comes out. So I'll be reading that very soon. And then I want to read Allegiant again because I want my heart broken again. But yeah, I have just random books in the dust jackets right now since I'm lending these out. But I just really love this series, and I think it'll be interesting reading it now, like having actual people as the characters in my mind, if that makes sense. Like when I read these, I didn't know anything about the movie or like who was gonna play who. So now that like I've actually seen the first movie and I've seen like who plays who, it's gonna be interesting picturing those people as characters while reading this. I hope that made some sense. This next one is another one that I will probably definitely be rereading this year, and that is The One by Kiera Cass, which is the final book in the Selection series. I don't think I'm going to reread the first two, although I'm sure I could, but I definitely want to reread this one. This one was my absolute favorite, and I'm hoping to read it again before The Heir comes out, which is kind of the fourth book, or the first one in like the companion duology. I feel like it's kind of a companion, but they're kind of advertising it as a continuation, but whatever. I really want to reread this book because this one is my favorite in the series and I absolutely loved it. And the final book I'm hoping to reread is another one that I don't have on me, but that is Looking for Alaska by John Green. I read this for school, actually. We were allowed to choose our own books for our grade 12 project thing. So I read this 2 years ago, and I was really focusing on like the literary things of it and all of that, like important things, since I was doing an essay on it. So I didn't really get to like fully absorb the story, I feel like. So I want to reread this so I can just read it for purely my enjoyment. I loved this book and I just want to love it again. So as of now, those are all the books that I'm hoping to reread. I'm sure there are some that I might just spur of the moment pick up, but those are the only ones I can really think of right now. Let me know what books you want to reread. Basically, these are all of my favorites. Like any favorites of mine, I would love to reread anytime. But these are just like the specific ones. But yeah, let me know what you are thinking of rereading. If you like rereading, if you don't, I don't know. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!